Over to you.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Pat Grosse, the community entrepreneur. And today I'm actually going to talk about what is the community entrepreneur? What do we do? Because that's the one question people ask. They know what we do in the grant side, but what's the community entrepreneur? And I actually want to just to explore that whole concept with you. And I'm using the base for this, the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. Now, I'm going to go back a few years because my base company is called Springboard Training Solutions. Not many people know that. And one day I was actually driving to a client's across country, and I had this epiphany in the car. And I realized that most of my clients were actually winning awards. And it wasn't because of me, it was because I was attracted to a certain kind of not-for-profit client. And it turns out that I was actually attracted to the entrepreneurs. They were the ones that were out there and winning the awards. All right, now I'm going to skip this. Basically, I have an entrepreneurial mindset. That's all you need to know. Now, let's start with the concept of the word entrepreneur. I mean, many people see it as startup businesses or business owners. If you look at the root of the actual language, which is French, it's split up as entre and prendre, which means between and to take. So I always interpret that as being able to take ideas and create something with them. So this is the whole concept of the entrepreneurial mindset. Now, if you've read the E-Myth Revisited, Michael Gerber talks about there's sort of three levels of a person, of a manager, somebody in charge: the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. Now, I want to talk to you about the kinds of people I work with, because I very quickly sort of determine who's that key person and which of these 5 areas they're operating from. I've added administration and volunteer, and I'll explain this as I go along. So let's explore this. Let's say, who's steering the ship? Who is this person that I connect with and build a relationship with? Okay. Is it the entrepreneur? And there are examples out there of the people who are running these not-for-profit organizations or these clubs or sports clubs or whatever, and you can identify one of these 5 characters from them. So these are the entrepreneur is the visionary. These are the ones who are likely to go out there and set up whole new concepts. They're the ones that go out and win awards because they've changed the direction of the organization, and they're risk takers. But what they are not good at is behind the organization, the systems, the people, the policies, etc. And they're likely to leave a trail of destruction behind them. And invariably, I've seen clients who have won awards, have done something different and had the accolades, and within 3 to 4 years, the organization has fallen apart. Quite simply is that they've been so focused on this new idea, a new concept, that they've actually not included their core business. The manager. Now, the manager comes along, and I've seen them come along maybe after it has been an entrepreneur in the key position, or it's just somebody in general. They come along, they're qualified, they've got a very steady as she go approaches to managing the organization. They're team builders, they're delegators, they create that even keel. But the downside of that is that when I say limited authority, they actually go by the hierarchy structure, so that they're actually answerable to the board. The entrepreneur would rather run the board, but the manager has that sort of authority. They follow the policies, they follow the procedures, etc. So they're very steady, but they don't have that sort of ability to think outside the box and do what entrepreneurs do. The technician. And for many of my clients, this is basically where they are. They've found themselves in that position. They could have been promoted internally, but they've found themselves in that position of that person in charge. They've got the industry knowledge. They've got the hands-on, and they're promoted from within the ranks. They know the subject area, but they have limited management experience. and they're resistant to of adopting new business practices outside of their comfort zone. And they have a difficulty in trusting employees to carry out tasks. They do tend to become micromanagers because that's the space that they're living in. Right, so the fourth one, I'm doing this quickly. The fourth one is the administrator. Now, this is an introduction because I've seen it so many times when there's been an entrepreneur who's been in and the organization has gone off track. And so an administrator has probably been promoted within the ranks or something. And I know of one really sorry case. I'll say that they've got meticulous attention to the details and they're going to prioritize the systems inside the organization. But what they're not doing is actually looking at what the organization should be doing to grow. So I remember one particular example of an administrator who came in to look at to keep the not-for-profit operating, and they were focused on the data. They were focused on all the sort of trying to analyze what had happened in the past. They forgot to keep the doors open. So within 3 months, that whole organization closed down. What's the ideal? Well, the ideal is a little bit of entrepreneur, a little bit manager. This is coming straight from Gerber, a little bit of technician, and a little bit of administrator. If you've got a personality that can actually move between those, you're doing well. But what it can also happen, and I've seen this on a few occasions, when an organization becomes unstable, you're going to have the entrepreneur in. I'm using this as a case study. An entrepreneur in, something happens, and then you're going to get your manager comes in. That lasts a little bit of a time, the technician, administrator, etc. And you have about 4 or 5 different CEOs in place within a period of about 3 to 4 years. And I've seen this happen repeatedly until they become stabilized again. But for me, there's another level, and I call that the volunteer. And that's the passionate volunteer turned CEO or chair, because if they can't actually manage the place from within, they manage it as in the governance, and they've got the personal agenda, and they're driven, and they won't listen to anybody. They're altruistic, but they can't separate themselves from the business, and they may also suffer from founder syndrome. So we've seen the extreme there, where somebody's come in and taken over. They just started off as a volunteer, taken over the organization for their own purposes. So what do? Well, the community entrepreneur for us is the organization, not that person, not the social entrepreneur, but it's supporting the organization. So we help with the strategic planning, community development, doing some research, workshops for them, anything that's going to help support and stabilize their structure moving forward. And at the bottom there, if you want to talk to me further about it, there's my booking link. There you go.